Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. So today we have come up with another interesting video, and in this particular video we are going to discuss about 7 wonders that used to exist in the ancient world. So in this video we are going to discuss in details what were these 7 wonders of the world, where they were located, and why they came or why they were built in the first place. So without further ado, let us try to understand all the 7 wonders of the world and let us peep into our past. So first of all, let us try to understand that what were these 7 wonders and what were their names. So first of all, the most famous, which still exists today and attract a lot of tourists from all across the world, is obviously the Great Pyramid of Giza. The second ancient 7 wonder of the ancient world was something that we call as the Lighthouse of Alexandria, which is also located in Egypt. The third wonder is something that is referred as the Colossus of Rhodes, which was a giant statue at the Rhodes Island in Turkey. The fourth wonder is the temple that was dedicated to Artemis. The fifth wonder was a very tall, a giant statue of Zeus, the king of the gods of the Greece, that was built in the Olympia, the Olympian region of Greece. The sixth wonder was the mausoleum that was built, and incidentally, this is also the first mausoleum in the human history that was built for Halicarnassus. And the last wonder of the ancient world is something that we refer as the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Babylon today lies in the modern day Iraq. So let us try to understand each of these wonders in details and let us try to understand that what this signifies. So the first wonder of the world, which obviously we are going to discuss, which still exists today, is the Great Pyramid at Giza. The Great Pyramid of Giza is situated somewhere about 10 kilometers to the northeastern part of the city of Cairo, which is currently the capital of Egypt. And as per the historians, we can see that the Great Pyramid of Giza was constructed somewhere in the 26th century BC by Egyptian pharaoh known by the name of Khufu. The Egyptian pharaoh constructed this dome as a burial site for himself, and the dome, we can say the pyramid, extended for a height of 481 feet. And the most interesting point about this pyramid is that this great pyramid at Giza is believed to be the only ancient wonder that have survived till present day. The other 6 wonders have perished and collapsed due to several reasons we are going to discuss later. Now coming to the main topic, that how this pyramid look like. So as we can see, the Great Pyramid of Giza is having a pyramidal structure which is basically made up of limestone rocks, and at the top we have gold and bronze plated, we can say, this top was there, and there is also believed that there are some secret chambers inside the Great Pyramids of Giza. Apart from that, the most interesting thing that we have to understand, that how such a giant pyramid was built in that time when people did not have any kind of machinery, people did not have any mode of transportation. So how the people were able to carry all these giant slab of limestone rocks and were able to arrange them in a pyramidal fashion to a height such as 480 feet. So it is believed, after the study of this pyramid in great detail and also by archaeological evidences from this nearby area, that pyramids were built totally by the manual labor, and there were more than thousands of people who were employed for an extended period of time to construct the pyramid. Overall, it took almost 30 years for the whole pyramid work to complete. In the earlier time, it was believed that the pyramid work was completed by the slave laborers, and that is why people of Egypt were kind of angry over their pharaoh, because the pharaoh was using slave for construction of pyramid. However, later research has proven this point to be incorrect, and it is believed that it was not the slave laborers, but it was basically the Egyptian peasants who used to work for 3 to 4 months every year, and they were conscripted for this work. Now, why these Egyptian peasants will be willing to work for construction of such giant pyramid? So the explanation lies in the fact that for a 3 to 4 months of in a year, the Nile River is kind of flooded, and due to flooding of this Nile River, the farmer do not have any job, as their whole agriculture land is agriculture cannot be conducted in the farming land, and that is why they are anyway free, and that is why they were employed by the pharaoh to construct this giant pyramid. Now question comes that how these people were able to drag all this large slab of rock in such a pyramidal fashion to a such greater height. So the only explanation that we can find today is that they must have built a very huge earthen ramp, and via this slightly elevating, slightly sloping earthen ramp, they might have been able to carry all these rocks at top of each other. The second most important wonder of the ancient world is something that is referred as the Lighthouse of Alexandria. The Lighthouse of Alexandria was believed to be one of the tallest standing man-made structure that existed till the early 19th century. The exact location of the lighthouse was in the city of Alexandria, which was found by Alexander the Great in the 3rd century BC, and the city sits at the coast of Mediterranean Sea in the current day Egypt. So the lighthouse of Alexandria is believed to have constructed somewhere around 250 BC with the sole objective to help mariners, to help the sailors and people who are coming from the boat to navigate the rocky and stony harbors of Alexandria. Basically, it is believed that when Alexander found or laid the foundation of the city was a very important point in Mediterranean trade route of this region. And due to this, there were a lot of maritime traffic that used to take place through Alexandria. However, there were a lot of big rocks and sols and stones that are present in the coastal regions of Alexandria. And this is what something that poses difficulty and challenges, especially in the night time for the sailors and navigators. And to help the sailors and navigator, a giant lighthouse was constructed so that they are able to see clearly, even in the night, the coastal lines of the Alexandria city. Overall, the height of the Lighthouse of Alexandria is believed to be somewhere about 400 feet tall, and this was one of the tallest structures in the ancient world. Finally, it is believed that it existed for almost up till 1375 AD, and it is here at this point that it was finally toppled by the earthquake. However, this is also we have to keep in mind that the importance of the port city of Alexandria has also declined in later stages, especially when the Egyptian capital was moved from Alexandria to Cairo. Then coming to the next wonder of the world is something that we refer as Colossus of the Rhodes. Colossus of Rhodes is nothing but basically a giant 110 feet tall statue of the Greek sun god, which is known by the name of Helios. The location of the Colossus of Rhodes is present around the island of Rhodes, which is a part of modern day Turkey. If you look at here we have Greece on the other side and Turkey in the eastern side, and between them we have Aegean Sea, and then we have Sea of Crete, where we have the island of Crete, a very important island of Turkey, and then we have the Rhodes Island, which is in the nearby the modern day Turkey. However, it is considered as part of Greece. So basically, again, a very important observation that you can make is that most of the ancient wonders of the world were situated somewhere in the region that is connecting the modern day Greece to modern day Turkey. Because this was the place in ancient time which was the heart of civilization, obviously apart from the Indus Valley civilization that was developing in different parts of the world at the time. Now the most important questions come that why people decided to construct such a giant statue of the sun god. So the story goes as such that somewhere in near 282 BC, the giant statue of Colossus was erected. However, it just lasted for 56 years only because of a giant earthquake that shook this area. The statue was finally toppled. So why the statue was erected at the first place? It is believed that after the death of Alexander the Great, there was a war of succession that broke out between three successors. One was the Ptolemy, second was the Seleucus, and third was the Antigonus. And the people of Rhodes were basically supporting the claim of Ptolemy to the throne after the death of Alexander. To wage war against the people of Rhodes, the son of Antigonus, Demetrius, came and wanted to wage a war against Rhodes. And that is why when he came, he brought a lot of different kind of weapons. They even have a giant stone thrower. But what happened is that when Demetrius tried to enter the Rhodes, the islands of Rhodes and the city of Rhodes, people of the city basically flooded the surrounding area, converted that into a large marshy and wetland. Due to this, Demetrius has no choice. His weapons cannot move any further. His army cannot move any further, and he has to retreat back. And basically, to commemorate or celebrate their victory against Demetrius, the people of Rhodes, decided to build a giant statue of Colossus. So basically, at that time, the problem was to fund how such a large statue or giant statue is funded. So historians believe that most of the funding for the erection of such a statue was by the weapons that were left by Demetrius. A large number of bronze weapons were left by Demetrius. So some of these weapons were melted to convert into the material for statue. Some of these weapons were used as a scaffolding for erection of a statue, and even some of the materials were sold to the nearby market, nearby cities, and the revenue generated by selling these materials, by selling these weapons, were basically used to construct the giant statue of Colossus. However, the giant statue of Colossus as we discussed, had collapsed after the earthquake. Despite that, there was a small part, or we can say the lower part of the statue remained intact. However, in year 654 CE, when Arabs attacked the island of Rhodes as a spoil of war, when they became victorious, as a spoil of war, the Arabs cut apart the remains of the Colossus statue and shipped the bronze, which statue was made up, to Syria to sell. And it is said that it took almost 900 camels to carry all these part of the statue of Colossus to from Rhodes Island to the Syria. Then the next in line of the ancient wonder of the world is something that we know as the mausoleum at Halicarnassus. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus was built by a wife of, we can say, a Persian satrap called as Mausolus, and it is basically a very large and ornate mausoleum which was built mainly to both honor as well as hold the remains of Mausolus of Caria by his wife Artemisia. If we try to understand the modern day location of this particular mausoleum, it is situated somewhere near the Bodrum city, which is again a part of modern day Turkey. If we try to understand about the structure of this temple, structure of this mausoleum, it was made out of marble, and the entire structure used to reach around 140 feet high. Overall, it is, as we can see from the picture here, it is made up of three different structures. At the bottom, we have a base, which is a square in shape. Then at the second layer is built by more than hundreds of different pillars were used. And the third structure is a kind of pyramidal peak that has been arranged by the limestone. And on the top of this peak, we have a giant chariot, which is pieced resistance of this architecture. And on this giant chariot, we have a two statue, which basically represent the Mausolus and his wife Artemisia. Not only this mausoleum is grand in its nature, in its size, but is also known for its ornate sculptures and carvings that has been painted in the vibrant color. If we talk about the end or the destruction of this mausoleum, it is believed that after almost 1800 years since it was constructed, the long lasting mausoleum was finally destroyed by the earthquake. Now make a point here, or you can note down here, that if you look at most of the ancient structures, ancient wonders of the world, they have been destroyed by the earthquake. So what is the reason behind this? If you try to understand and try to link the concept of geography, you will come to understand that this is the region, the Turkey region and the Greece region, around which most of the ancient structures have been created. They are lying in the Mediterranean earthquake zone, Mediterranean volcanism zone, because it is the giant African plate that is continuously pushing against the giant Eurasian plate. And due to this continental convergence, what happens is that there is a stress and pressure that is built up in the rocks structure below the earth, and this pressure, when it is suddenly released, causes a giant earthquake or high magnitude of earthquake. And that is the reason why most of the structure of ancient times has been ruined or destroyed by the earthquake, that are very periodic in occurrences in this particular Mediterranean region. Then the next important wonder of the world we have to understand about is the temple of Artemis, which is built up in the Ephesus. Temple of Artemis is basically a temple that is dedicated to the Artemis, who is considered as a god of hunt or a god of war in the Greek culture. At the same time, she is also known by the name of Diana as far as the Roman culture is concerned. The Diana or Artemis is a twin sister of Apollo, and she was believed to be the athletic, healthy virgin goddess of hunting and wild animals. Generally, if you look at the statue, she is represented holding an arrow and with a dog with herself, because a dog is someone who chases and hunts the animals. So the modern day location of this Artemis city is, as we can see from here, Ephesus city is somewhere again in the region which is not modern day Turkey, and on the other side we have the Athens. Overall, if you look at the structure, the temple was not the first temple which is considered as the seventh wonder of the world, but it is the second temple that was built up for the Artemis after the first was burned due to arson incident in year 356 BC. However, unfortunately, after just few years after the construction of this temple, somewhere in year 262 CE, Goths, who were one of the many tribes from the northern part, like in somewhere you can say in the modern Germany and Poland, they invaded Ephesus and destroyed the temple. And since by this time we already have increase in the followers of Christianity, and we have decline of the ancient religion, decline of the paganism, then the people decided not to build the temple once again. Overall, if you look at the structure of the temple, it was almost 350 feet long and 180 feet wide temple, which was made up of total of 127 columns that reached almost 60 feet high. The inside of a temple were beautiful carvings, and it is believed there was a life-size statue of goddess Artemis. The sixth wonder that we have to understand is a giant statue which was erected at the Olympia region of the Greece. Olympia was basically a region which was used by many warring factions to come together, and it was a safe zone where no one could attack anyone. To remind you, Olympia was also the place where for the first time Olympic Games was held and where for the first time the torch of Olympic Games was flamed. Also to remind you that whenever we have Olympic Games even now, Olympia is the first place where the light in the torch of the Olympics are lighted first. So basically the statue of Zeus was a 40 feet high statue mainly made up of ivory and gold, very precious materials, and the statue of god Zeus was in seated position, and Zeus is very important god in the ancient tradition of Greece because he is believed to be the king of all the Greek gods. The present day location of this Olympia, as you can see, is in the Greece, which is located on the coast of Ionian Sea, which is a part of the Mediterranean Sea. The statue of Zeus and the temple that is surrounding him is a very vibrant example of Doric architecture. It is believed that around 600 BC, a beautiful temple was also built to both Hera. Hera is considered to be the wife of Zeus, as well as Zeus himself. And between 470 to 456 BC, this was a time when the new temple of Zeus was again built up, which is considered as the seventh wonder of the world. However, by the time of early 5th century CE, the new emperor of Greece, who was known by the name of Emperor Theodosius II, he ordered the statue of Zeus to be destroyed, and finally it was set on the fire. The most striking point about the statue was not only the size and the grandeur, but also the beautifulness that has been given to it by the use of different kind of materials. For example, the skin of the Zeus was made up by ivory. The robe he was wearing was made up of plates of gold that were intricately decorated with animals and flowers. At the same time, the throne on which Zeus was sitting was made up of ivory, precious stones, as well as the ebony tree. Then coming to the last wonder of the ancient world is the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Hanging Gardens of Babylon was basically believed to be a very tall building which was built in a kind of pyramidal structure built upon a layer by layer arrangement of stone, and this was something that was extremely rare for this area because this Babylon was a desert region, and from where these people who built this hanging garden found the rocks is still a kind of mystery. So basically this Hanging Garden of Babylon resembled in some way like a mountain because of its multiple terrace-like structure. Now, the exact location in modern day where the Babylon is situated is believed to be at the bank of Euphrates River. Euphrates River is flowing through modern day Iraq, and Iraq is basically the region which is also known by the ancient name of Mesopotamia, which is the region that is bound by two rivers, Euphrates and Tigris, and Babylon was the region that is Babylon was a city that was part of the ancient Mesopotamia. So why this hanging gardens of Babylon was constructed? So the story goes as such that we have a king who was Nebuchadnezzar II, that was his name. So somewhere in the 6th century BC, he developed or built this hanging garden of Babylon for his homesick wife Amitis. Amitis was basically from Persia, and Persia, from where she belonged to, was a very mountainous region, have a lot of greenery, and when she came with King Nebuchadnezzar to his city of Babylon, Babylon was very dry, arid area surrounded by sand from all the side. We have less water, so that is why she must have find it very drab and uncomfortable to live. And to please her, then Nebuchadnezzar decided that he will build a building, the Hanging Garden of Babylon, which will resemble cool mountains from her home, and also because there are a lot of different types of plants and trees were hanging from the upper terraces of this building because he wanted to give her comfort of a cool and green air, cool air as well as the green surroundings. So it is due to this reason she built it for her wife Artemis. Incidentally, it is the only ancient wonder out of the 7 we have discussed whose location has not yet been found, and the reason is very simple because we do not have any archaeological evidences of existence of such a building, and that is why many experts even believe that this building is just in the stories. There is no real there was no such real building which used to exist in the ancient times. So there is still much debate going on about the existence of Hanging Garden, and many people believe, many archaeologists even believe, that Hanging Garden seem magical in a way which is too amazing to have been real. However, as per the recent report published by the Oxford University, the archaeologists believe that it is quite possible that this Hanging Garden of Babylon might not be in near the Euphrates, bank of river Euphrates, but it might have been in the northward city of Nineveh. And why it is called so? Because many times this Euphrates, bank of Euphrates river is also called as New Babylon, and that is why there might have this confusion. But the problem is that the Nineveh, which is in modern day Iraq, is area which is heavily surrounded by terrorist organizations, and it is much more difficult to carry out any kind of archaeological activity there. So we not have any way to find out that whether the current claim of the Hanging Garden of Babylon being situated in Nineveh is correct or not. So that is all for today. I hope you understood about the basic points regarding all the 7 wonders of the ancient world and you enjoyed the video. So that is all for today. Thank you very much.